I'm standing here in Botafogo. This is where the 20-year-old Darwin first arrived after leaving UK. So that was the first major stop on his 5-year journey around the world that would change how we understand biology and human nature. Darwin, as a member of the upper British class, was invited by the dignitaries in the capital of recently independent Brazil. So he explored the environment around here. So right behind me you see the famous Sugarloaf Mountain, and right in front of me is the famous Christ statue on top of the Corcovado Mountain. So he spent time, it was the first stop where he had a chance to explore the rich tropical nature and wildlife and plants that would really change his thinking. And it's also fitting because about 10 years later, another young English explorer called Alfred Russel Wallace would spend a couple of years in the Amazon, and he would independently come up with a theory of evolution, which would force Darwin to publish his work in 1859. And we're going to look at this story and this history because in order to understand theories, we always have to look at the social, economic, philosophical, historical context in order to make sense of why these people were coming up with these ideas at that particular moment in time and how it was received and then also used. So these stories are important to understand how evolution as a theory of nature came about. Because what we have to understand is Darwin's theory was just one specific theory of evolution. There were other theories of evolution around, many of them actually very influential. They became even more influential after Darwin had proposed his own theory. And they would change how people would see human nature with all the positive and negative consequences that we will discuss in this course. Theories and science are a type of cultural technology. So in order to understand where technology comes from, we always have to look at the context. Theories are like seeds. They need soil to grow. And so we're going to look at the conditions that led to the development and the use of these theories over the next 200 years. Because the final thing that I would just likely to mention, and that is really important for understanding evolution, is Darwin lived during a time that was very turbulent. It was the age of reason, so people started to question a lot of things in life. So there were these big questions about where do plants come from, where do animals come from, where do humans come from, what's the purpose of life? These are big philosophical, spiritual questions, but they also can be tackled from a scientific perspective. It was the era of the Industrial Revolution. It completely changed how people were living and working. And it also was a time when people started to put into practice new ideas like democracy with a lot of problems and fits and stops. So we had the French Revolution, the American independence. So there were a lot of political issues going on around the same time. And so we have to look at that context in order to understand evolution and where it came from. So I'm looking forward to that. But first, we're living in the middle of a pandemic, so I better put on my mask, get home and record the rest of it.